In the previous video, we looked at the problem of resolution amongst Android devices and the need to have graphics at 5 different resolutions in our project. To help keep track of the different resolutions and also do a little bit of calculation, I created an Excel spreadsheet that reiterates what I demonstrated in the previous video as far as the different resolutions and the density conversion factor. So remember, we said that the MDPI is the baseline at 1 density independent pixel equaling 1 pixel, and then the LDPI is 3/4 of that, but then moving upward the HDPI is 1.5, 2, 3, and 4 for the XXX. The ratio of those, if we recognize 4 as being the MDPI, we can, in whole numbers, we could say 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 16. That's an easy way to remember those different conversion factors. I gave the approximate base DPI resolution here. That will vary from device to device, and then also the average screen heights for these different devices and sizes. You'll see that some of these differ a little bit. For example, the Motorola Droid was an HDPI, and I say normally those are 480 by 800, but that particular device was 480 by 854. And it actually had a little bit smaller screen than what was typical. So it was a little bit more dense. So that's just more of a reminder of everything. Notice there is a no DPI version as well, and that's for images you don't want to have scaled. So maybe you want to have an image presented in its raw format. You can specify it as no DPI. And there's also a TV DPI, which is 1.33 pixels to the density pixel. So it's not nearly the density as far as resolution of the phones we have, but certainly for television we're usually using 1920 by 1080. Scrolling down in that Excel spreadsheet, I have a way to calculate sizes. And so if you decide what size you want for the XXX HDPI, you can plug in the sizes here. So we're going to work with an image that's 1200 by 1000. And we can see then that the double X HDPI should be 900 by 750. The X HDPI would be 600 by 500. HDPI 450 by 375. The MDPI 300 by 250. And the LDPI, which we actually wouldn't create, would be 225 by 187.5. I also show how these compare to the iOS versions that we might create if we're doing cross-platform. And I see I've got a little bit of an error there. That should be just iOS at 3x. So I also create an area here to determine the DPI of a device and calculate what the density bucket would be. So if we have a device that, let's just say 640 by 1000, and the screen was 4.5 inches, its DPI would be 263 density pixels per inch, and that would put it in the XHDPI density bucket. This doesn't always run true. Some devices are a little bit different, and I also created a link here to the gsmarena.com where you can look up different devices and what the screen resolutions are. I've made this Excel spreadsheet available in Canvas. So if we jump over to Canvas in the modules, there's a module here for helpful resources, and that spreadsheet is the Android device resolution.xlsx. There's also 2 JavaScript files here that you're going to want to download, Android Export JPG and the Android Export PNG, and I'm going to use those later in this video and show you how you can have Photoshop create the different resolutions and put those in the appropriate folders for your project. We're going to work on some images for a Slovenia project, and I've already created that PSD file and the different resolutions for you. But I'm going to walk you through the process that I did to create that. And then there's also one here for an application called Rock On, which is going to be your second assignment. So you'll want to download those and unzip those as well. I'm going to jump over to Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is absolutely one of my favorite programs, and I use it a lot for many different things. But I think it's critical for developing apps that you know how to work with images. Teaching you to use Photoshop is beyond the scope of this course, but you're going to find lots of tutorials online, YouTube videos, books, and so forth. And we also, of course, offer a beginning and advanced class here at South Mountain in using Photoshop. It's not the easiest program to learn. There's a lot of bells and whistles to it. But I want to show you just briefly how I develop images for an Android app. And I do the same thing for iOS or Xamarin using Photoshop. So my image here, this is my title screen, and I made it 1200 by 1000. This is going to be my XXX HDPI image. If we look at the folder, you'll see there's a background image. We can turn these icons off. So there's a background image that I took from Wiki Commons. So it's public domain or Creative Commons licensed. And then I add some text to it. And so I just took the text of Slovenia 3 times and then colored in the I love Slovenia and made it fairly transparent. So if we look at this, I made it basically 29% transparent. Then I duplicated that layer again, the same text, but I used a mask to get rid of the white letters, and that just simply makes the I love Slovenia in red bolder. And on that one, I set the opacity roughly 50%. I added some information in terms of the licensing for the photo, and then a caption at the bottom to tap the buttons to see more images of Slovenia. So we're going to create an app that has some buttons and allows the user to look at some pictures from the country of Slovenia. So I organized all that as a folder in the layers of Photoshop. I can turn that all off. I have a white background here. And then I created a folder for the map. And again, just an image I took off of Wiki Commons and added some text as far as the citation that's public domain and the caption. So Slovenia is bordered by Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia. Ljubljana is the capital of Slovenia, so I wanted a picture of that. And again, same thing, just text for the license information and the caption. Draznica is a village in Slovenia, a little more rural setting. The public domain image that was used there. And then the Kranj Forest, same thing from Wiki Commons. Attributed the photo to the photographer and a caption. So those are my images. I save it as a PSD file, a Photoshop document file. That's really important. That saves as a PSD. Then I'm going to go back to my title. And let me just pull up the folder where this is saved. So I have a folder here called Slovenia Images. I'm going to open up that. And you'll see there is my PSD Slovenia file. Now we're going to do some magic. So I want this in those 5 different resolutions. So from 1200 to 1000, it should go down to 900 by 750 and so forth. And we'll keep reducing it down. So what I could do is I could simply come here and save this file and create some folders in here that would be drawable-mdpi, drawable-hdpi, drawable-xxhdpi, and I'd save each appropriate resolution in those 5 different folders. That might take me about 5 minutes to do so, maybe even 10 minutes. I have to create the folders, I have to move the folders, and saving the document each time as a JPEG into those folders. So again, here's where the magic's going to happen. I created a script out there that you downloaded off of Canvas, and we're going to use the JPEG one. So it's a JPEG one and a PNG one. But I'm going to go to the File menu, and I'm going to choose Scripts, Browse. And I'm going to go find that JPEG export file, Android export JPG 2021B. So I'm going to select that and say Load. So this is a JavaScript file. It's going to run me through some information. It's going to ask me to give a name of this file. I'm going to call it Slovenia_00_title. And I use the 00. I want to have my images numbered just so they're going to appear in a kind of a chronological or orderly fashion and easy to find the titles. So I use sort of a category underscore 2 numbers. Unless I'm going to have more than 100 numbers, I might have 3 or 4 if it's going to be more than 1,000. And then underscore and just a really brief information about what this image is. This is my title screen. I'm going to click OK. Now it's going to ask me what quality do I want for my JPEG, and it's a number between 1 and 10. I usually use about 7. That's a fairly high, medium to high quality. It'll keep the file size down a little bit larger, but still maintain a nice version of the image. The higher the number, the better the quality, but also the larger the image will be. So there's a trade-off. I'm going to click OK. And it is now, if you can see the little scrolling wheel, processing, and I get a dialog saying completed the Android JPEG file exports. Great. I'm going to say OK. Let's go back and look at that folder. And now there's my Slovenia file, but look at this. I have 5 folders that it created from that script of the different resolutions, and each one of them contains my JPEG at the correct size. So this one's 450 by 375. That's the HDPI. Here's the MDPI. It's 300 by 250. The XHDPI, 600 by 500. The double X, 900 by 750. And the triple X, 1200 by 1000. We'll go back to Photoshop. I'm going to bring up the second folder and hide the first one. So this is going to be the map. Going to do the same thing. File, Scripts, Browse, find my script, click Load. I'm going to leave it named Slovenia. This one, though, I want to have be 01 underscore map. So that's the file name I want. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to use 7 again. And it created those 5 files. We'll do Ljubljana. File, Scripts, Browse, find the JavaScript. This one will be Slovenia underscore 01 underscore Ljubljana. And one thing I should point out is your file name should be all lowercase for Android. That's kind of important. Again, I'm going to use 7 for the quality. That one's done. Let's do Dresnica. Slovenia underscore 03. Dresnica. 7. And the last one is the forest image. File, Scripts, Browse. This one's 04. And it's like Range Forest. Then 7. And so now I've gone through and created images for those 5 different pictures, each one at 5 different resolutions. And again, I'm going to go back to my folder. Let's just take a look at the double X. And there then are the 5 JPEG images. And each one of these is 900 by 750. Now let's take a look at how to bring these into our Android Studio project and create our app. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Android App Development Cohort playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.